Welcome to the Soul Tribe Podcast. The Soul Tribe Podcast was created to help you navigate through the world of spirituality, wellness, and self-development in an easy, grounded, and relatable way. We break down everything from the Akashic Records, manifesting, spirituality, and so much more. We want to help expand your boundaries and bring the spiritual world to you in a fun and easy way. Get ready to be inspired with tips, tools, and easy to digest information. Let's do this. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Soul Tribe Podcast. And today's episode is going to be an interview with Laura Lee, psychic medium Laura Lee. And today's episode was amazing. We loved having the opportunity to have Laura Lee back on. If you guys didn't know, we have a previous episode with her. And so this is our second episode. I think it was about 2 years ago we were able to interview her, maybe a little bit more. But this time was really, really fun because even more fun is actually a word, because we actually got to connect more with her, understand her work, go a bit deeper with the questions more than last time. Last time was more about understanding and how she got into her path and hearing her stories about what kind of woke her up and got her into what she does now. Whereas this time we were much more able to connect with aspects of our life and similarities. Lucia, I personally feel like I learned a lot from things that she had to share. And I feel like it almost felt like she was a few steps ahead of where I'm like the path that I'm going on. And so I feel like there's experiences that we talked about in the episode that I'm literally either just going through or just went through. And I felt that made me feel really understood and heard and I guess not alone. And I hope that you guys are able to take positive aspects from this interview as well, or, feel understood and heard as well, just like I did, and I'm sure Lorena did as well. So I'm not going to keep you any longer. Enjoy the episode and have fun, and hopefully you learn a lot and grow from this episode. So we're here with psychic medium Laura Lee, and we're so excited to have you back because we were thinking it was 2 years ago but it's been a while. And I think that also humanity is at a level where they're ready to understand more what you do. So I want to dive into all of that.
Okay. Sounds good.
So first of all, you're psychic and you're a medium. So I think maybe some people won't know the difference. Can you explain a little bit the difference between one and the other?
Yeah. Psychics use tools of divination. We all have different tools of divination. So they can use tarot, astrology, mediumship. They can use numerology. Tools such as those are divination tools, and they can see the past, present, and future. And some of them claim to have clairvoyant abilities or clairaudient, which is, connecting to spirit. But mediums are directly a channel for the spirit world, and they are naturally psychic. And so it's kind of silly even to say psychic medium, but a lot of people seem to not discern between the two. And so a lot of us still feel like we have to be able to put it out there that, the past, the present, and future are part and connected with the spirit world. And this ability to connect to psychic or intuitive nature is something that is available and accessible to all of us.
I believe that too, yeah.
It's a latent gift within every soul. And I say latent because I think it's just like any other muscle that just needs to be flexed and developed. At some point, right? when a person, it is a practice when somebody's ready and willing.
Yes, I love that because I see it the same way even with the Akashic Records. When we talk about that, we're like, can anyone connect? Yeah. if you feel called to it, it's for a reason, first of all, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It is a calling, isn't it?
Yep.
Because who says when they're little, I mean, I certainly didn't go, oh, I can't wait to grow up and be a psychic medium. That's what I want to be when I grow up. That's that just did not register on me at all. Even though I was having those personal experiences, I tried to run away from them. I tried to hide from them. And, sooner or later, and I think we talked about that in the first episode about my eating disorder.
Yes.
And tried to avoid it. And then we get sick. And then when I came out of it and had my near-death experience, realizing that it got stronger as I healed and connected with my soul and spirit, and realized there's no way of getting away from it, and I'm going to have to use it in some capacity. And I think you can use it in any type of field.
So you think that if you blocked it, it would continue to make you sick?
I think it is what's making us sick collectively as a whole. Look what's happening to our earth. If people keep dismissing their intuitive nature, which is the feminine.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
The masculine is the rational side of the mind. It's the thinking, it's the processing, it's it's analytical, it's touchy-feely, whereas the feminine is intuitive, it's creative, expressive, it feels, and it's been so neglected.
Yeah. Amen.
And so there's people such as us who are coming through. And I think there's been a lot of leaders, obviously, in my field. As you all know, there's the Hollywood mediums or the Long Island mediums. You got John Edwards, who are actually, and then you've got your whole host of amazing mediums and psychics over in Britain.
I love Chip Coffey, for example.
Yeah, I was just going to say Chip Coffey, that are making it acceptable.
Like normal.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I think now we're entering another phase where people are becoming comfortable with it. Not everybody, okay? Because I still get my people who, comment, sharing their heart-warm opinions that I don't ask for, right?
Yeah.
And want to deny that part of themselves as well as us. And, I can't make them believe, of course, and I don't obviously try. I've given up on that. I learned that lesson long ago. So, we just do what we can to those who are ready and help those who are ready to embrace it.
And people will gravitate towards you that need your help, right? I always feel like
Yes.
It's just how things flow. That's the feminine energy, like you were saying. People will find you when they need to find you. Even if it's for inspiration or for you to help them connect with a loved one that's passed or whatever.
Right. Yes, absolutely.
So like our grandma had the ability. And then I remember her husband of 45 years passed away. And she was always very good at seeing spirit and communicating. But when her husband passed away, I remember her getting super angry because she wasn't able to use her own ability for herself. Is that something that you find that happens to people that with the ability as well?
Well, it's interesting you bring up that subject. That is an excellent question, because what I share with a lot of my listeners and callers, that they are ready because they're opening up the field, they're calling, but they'll sometimes ask for somebody who is afraid to get on the phone or afraid to ask. And I said, well, then they're not ready to receive. And they wouldn't be able to receive even if they got on the phone. And and their family counterparts who are talking to me say, well, they're having a hard time connecting. Well, the reason why they're having a hard time connecting is called grief. It's just human grief. Right. So your grandmother was processing through her own grief. And when we're in grief, our vibration is lower. Mm-hmm. And therefore, we have a harder time connecting with a field that is at a higher vibration. That's the best way I teach it to my students. So when I said I came out of my eating disorder and then I started getting help because I asked for help, And then I was open and ready. And as I started to nurture and get my soul back connected or connected with my soul, my spirit came in, flooding in even stronger than before. And I can make connection to the spirit world. Now, I will say that now that I'm so in tune, I just had a loss in our family, unfortunately, a few months ago. And but it was a good transition in the sense that I think she was ready and we were all ready for that transition, to occur. And I mean, she was in pain and we didn't want to see her suffering anymore. But every day, all of us are making the connection to her.
Yeah.
It's
that's
been
amazing.
beautiful. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So I have experiences with her on a regular basis, and I know it's her connecting. So this one I feel I'm good with, but not to say that I would be for everybody.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. That's interesting. Talking about grief, I'm sure a lot of people come to you with that emotion, right? Because they want to connect.
100%. That's what they're doing, because they can't always do it for themselves, but they do believe that the spirit world is among them. They do have a sense that it's happening here or there, and it happens intermittently for a lot of people. But I'm at a place now where in my career, well, I had been for many years, but it seems to pick up lately that I'm teaching and showing others how to tap into that ability for themselves. And I think the show in itself, Radio Medium now, is a platform to, affirm and confirm to people that the experiences they're having are not silly. They are not a supernatural, paranormal, scary movie. Okay, right. That 99% of the time, those are benevolent spirits coming through. There are loved ones that are just wanting to make the connection and say, I love you. That's it. That's it. And that they're there.
Connect.
Yes. Yeah. It's when we feel that need and the desire to connect, so is our loved one. It's just as simple as, and I share with a lot of my callers, is that it's like telephone. So, when we have that strong connection with a loved one here in the physical plane, let's say a sister, okay, or a mother, and you got the idea you should call them right now at the spur of a moment, right? And you pick up the phone and you call and they go, well, I was just thinking about you. I was just going to call you. Yeah, that's how mediumship works in the spirit world, connecting with the loved ones. And so there's nothing crazy about it.
Do you think a pet can do that? Like a pet from the other side can 100%. Kind of like come over and remind you?
Oh, it's the same thing for sure. I really, truly believe, I wish she was awake right now, but my little one is laying here passed out and I just want to leave her. But we just got this puppy for COVID and we named her Angel. But anyway, she has some of the same behaviors of some of my my beloved dog who's passed some years ago, and I could swear this is her soul reincarnated. You know what I mean?
Wow.
I have a friend who's a pet communicator too. I'll have to give her your name.
So you guys my God! Yes, that would be awesome.
Talk to her.
She is brilliant, and she has had 2-3 pets now where she her pet dies and then she's waiting for the next one to come along, like the Dalai Lama, and so she can find the spirit in the previous dog and the new dog, and she'll name she'll give the dog's name the same name. So she's had 3 animals that she swears is the same spirit of that animal in all 3. So I never have to remember what her pet's name is because it's the same pet's name from years ago.
Yeah.
Do you feel like when you connect with, because you've met all 3 of her animals?
Oh, yes. We used to hike. We were hiking buddies out west for many years. Yeah.
So do you sense that when you've met them?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Yeah, she does animals, and I mean, I do animals too, but I'm not predominantly animals. You know, animals will definitely make an appearance if they're standing there with their loved one on the other side, or if they're near their beloved owner here in the physical plane, you know.
Right.
So some of them will come through. I had a woman whose horse was right near her, you know. So, and she had just lost her horse, so that was comforting for her. So I think it's very healing, and I think we need that. So I think part of mediumship, and maybe even Akashic records, and as far as all the tools of the trade, are used to help people confirm things, first of all, that they already know is true for themselves, but they are afraid to trust it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And two, and I could say that probably goes for every psychic, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're like afraid to like be wrong or say the wrong thing.
So they're looking for our validation from it.
They don't trust it. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't trust it. And then the other thing is that you know, so that they can move forward in life, because if everybody's walking around like zombies stuck in grief, what do we got here? And we've got a lot of that going on here in the United States right now. After the COVID, we've had a epidemic of suicides, depressions, cases of depression. I think this might be a worldwide thing, but I know it's
happening in Uruguay too. Yeah,
it's huge right now in the U.S. and especially with our young kids. Who are really being
sad. That's really sad. And do you think that it's harder for the soul to go through the process after death if it was suicide? Have you been able to pick up on anything like that?
I do know this. That's interesting you say that. We get a lot of those, and I believe that we all have the opportunity to transcend, and every soul does. So when they do pass over, it's not, I would still say that's kind of traumatic, and there is a different energy with suicides than there are people who have die of natural causes versus somebody who's had a traumatic experience. But the suicides, some of them I find are still in that space on the other side, and I can still pick it up, and they haven't switched their energy. And if they don't switch their energy, they can come into the next life with the same baggage. A lot of them think that's an easy escape, but I don't think it's an easy escape. So when we talk about hell versus heaven, to me, hell can be here on earth as much as heaven.
Yep.
Yeah.
So if they haven't found heaven here, they aren't going to find it on the other side. But I know a lot of our holy books around the world would say otherwise.
Yep.
Yeah.
But as far as I can see, in working with spirits and souls for my whole life, I can tell you that if they haven't found it here, they aren't going to find it on the other side. And I would say, you know, some transitions are easier than others. I would definitely say my grandmother's transition just recently was probably one of the best transitions I've ever seen. If there's a way to go, it's exactly the way she wanted to go in her sleep. And so all of us were around her, surrounding and you know, with her during that transition. So I do believe that we can make choices.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a long roundabout answer, but
no, I understand that too. We've talked quite a bit on the podcast in the soul sense of suicide and things like that, and free will. But yeah, we just
because you kind of have to come back and pick up from what you left off. I mean, karmically speaking, it's like you got to come back and learn the lesson that you left pending because it was abandoned.
Yeah.
Well, yes, and deal with it. Sooner or later, you're going to have to deal with it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's so interesting. You were going back to
Uh-huh.
grief for just a second. Like I always
Uh-huh.
feel like mediums are a lot of times are like grief counselors.
We are alternative grief counselors
Yeah.
because I have found that some of them work with grief counselors and do work with mediums. Some people find relief with the mediums more than counselors, or counselors more than mediums. But yes, we are an alternative option for counseling with grief, for real.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
No, I think people should know that.
I love
Definitely.
Dr. Kubler-Ross's work too, who came up with the 5 steps of grieving.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Which I believe everybody processes differently, but I definitely was going through a grief stage at my pending years until I had my near-death experience, and then I realized, oh my gosh, life is miraculous. We've been given a gift and we've got to use it.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do the rest of that time to share?
Yeah.
So short.
And I think a lot of us are here to connect with our gifts and help others. There's a huge shift in that for a lot of people, at least our community on the podcast.
Yeah.
So
well, look what happened around the world.
Yeah.
It's happening. Everybody's jumping off the cliff, proverbial cliff. Okay. Leaving their jobs, which were supposed to provide that support. And it was an illusion, right? They're discovering, which we all discovered long ago. And trying to find some meaning in their lives. And what's that look like for them?
Yeah, spending so much time doing something that you don't like, that doesn't fulfill you. That's a long process to go through every single day, 5 days a week. And of course, then you're not going to be happy. Right.
I love but Joseph Campbell's work. He always, he's written such beautiful books, but he was really into mythology, and he always suggested we follow our bliss. It's that simple.
Yes.
Just follow your bliss.
Yep.
Wherever that might be. And some people say that's just too out there. How am I supposed to support myself with the bliss?
And that's a program, right? That's what you believe, that you have to do something that's going to bring you in enough money, and it has to be something that's analytical, the masculine, everything you were saying, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Collaborating the two, not dismissing that rational part of the mind, but bringing it in and unifying it with that aspect of ourselves that is creative and intuitive and emotional.
Yes.
Which is how most women operate.
Do you feel like more women have these gifts that they tune into in this lifetime more than men?
Well, I think it's a natural part of women. I mean, women are an embodiment of it. And then you've got the masculine. Not to say that all men are like that, but men in our society, at least in U.S. culture, they're told not to get emotional, not to express themselves, to suppress those parts of themselves that would appear more feminine-like.
True.
And therefore, they disconnect from that part of themselves that might sense somebody or something is around them, the divine presence, or feel something that you can't see, or hear something that isn't audible, or have a vision. Oh my gosh, am I going nuts?
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Which is a natural part of all of us. Anyone, male or female.
Yeah. I think we're progressing, because I've been reading Catch Records for 14 years. And when I first began, it was for many years just women. Like maybe one or two guys. And now after COVID in the last year, I've been getting almost the same amount of men and women getting readings. I'm like, oh,
interesting.
It's
see that trend
beginning.
too.
They're moving.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's interesting. You're giving me chills. I noticed that trend. I keep track on the website. I noticed the trend on the website that it is picking up with men. The show right now, I'm still seeing about 30%, 35% male, but the men are there. Yes, they are tuning in. And when we say men, they are men. We're not talking, there might be a couple, alternative lifestyle men out there, but these are men, who are open and connected with the spirit world and open, which I find beautiful.
It's amazing. It's amazing to see. And as someone who people email me and be like, oh, like, I'm seeing the move. I'm seeing that it's like, I don't know, like the engines are starting to go for them and they're starting to wake up to it. And I'm like, oh, that's exciting. Because when the masculine energy, I think in our universe wakes up, that I think it's a game changer for everybody's paradigm reality.
I agree. You just gave me chills in the heart by saying those words.
Ooh,
I like that. Yeah. It is a game changer. And I think it's what will, on a bigger global scale, save the earth as well.
Yes.
I think that's what's needed because it is Mother Nature, and she's kicking and screaming and we need to wake up, pay attention. I think the young kids who are going through it right now that are incredibly sensitive and intuitive, and they're definitely not following their elders. Or do they care to? I think they're sensing it and picking it up and just haven't identified truly what it is within them. They know, but I hope they step up to the plate and find another way for us, and we see little bits of that out there, but predominantly the news, of course, wants to capture our attention for ratings. And so the bad still draws.
Yeah, that's keeping us in fear and worry. And that low vibration you were talking about, that disconnects us.
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. In order to connect with that spirit side, we have to have fun. We have to go play. We have to have joy. We have to do things we love. We have to connect with people, heaven forbid.
Yes.
And thank gosh we're seeing each other today, because for so many years I did it too over the phone instead of connecting with people by video. And it's been a game changer for me just to even connect with people by video nowadays.
Changes everything. Yeah, changes the whole dynamic.
It's like you meet the person, whereas before you kind of met them.
Yeah,
it's
right?
Different. Yeah.
Well, I mean, gosh, back in the day, we'd go into an office and meet people. But I guess video is no different. I guess it's just being a little bit more on the personal side than it is formal side, huh?
Yeah.
Especially when you talk about like body language, even as like a therapist or a counselor or somebody that works in the wellness space, body language can say so much. Like you can read the person's energy that way too.
100%.
For me, video is very important when I do sessions. I can get a lot from that.
Sometimes for me, though, in my profession, because there used to be a lot of backlash about us picking up, physical cues.
Oh, what do they call that? Fishing, or what was it?
I don't know, but I did it for so many years. I've done calls for so many years. It certainly wasn't physical cues for me. It's intuitive. So, which I think is anybody's capable of that, but it certainly isn't the physical cues for me. But, tuning in and getting somebody's emotional reaction is good. And is a way to read the situation too, when to back off because they're so quiet. on the other end. I'm like, am I talking?
Are you alive?
Yeah.
You okay?
Is there a live person on the other end?
Am I just talking to spirit on the other side too?
But now I can see, so now I can see. So
that's funny you say that, because when I do readings, I do a lot of, like, for me, I connect better with visual. So I usually close my eyes, and half of my reading, I have my eyes closed so they can see me, but I'm not looking at them because I'm concentrating what I'm getting. But also I don't want to get distracted with their faces. Like if they get excited about something they're saying, or if they're like worrying, so I actually end up on purpose closing my eyes to better do like what I do.
That too. I've been doing that these days too. Yeah. But I always did, kept my eyes closed on a lot.
So how do you receive more information for you? How does it work?
I stay present. Stay in the present moment and, just let it fall in. It is a channel. So I'm a conscious channel, but not the kind of channel where I love those colleagues of mine who can bring a spirit forth through their body and allow the spirit to inhabit their body. To me, that's a little too...
It's scary to me.
Yeah, that's a little too much. Okay. Yeah. But I am the channel where I sit outside and convey the message the best I can for the other party. So it kind of to me gets lost in translation sometimes, the message. And I feel like I have to repeat it in a different way more than once in order to get that message sometimes across to the other party. Yeah, so in the way that it's I'm feeling or being expressed from the spirit world, if that makes sense.
So you also teach, you said. You help people connect with their gifts, right?
Yeah, the show has been a platform for a lot of that. Just when people are having experiences right there, I might point something out to the listening audience. I think that's been a little different. Over the years, I've taught workshops around the country and conferences and such, but now, of course, we can connect with people, webinars, right? And there is a bigger demand for that right now, where people are, okay, there's something here. I know I'm tuning into it. Show me exactly how that's happening, and my passage with people is a little different than other mediums. Most mediums are there to probably just, talk to the spirit and say, yeah, I made it. It's Aunt, Caroline. She says hello. And, just confirming that Aunt Caroline's on the other side. Well, mine, I think I've gone to another level with all of it and sharing something that the person needs as an answer to their prayers, or something that's really been harboring on their heart that needs relieved and let go. So, and I don't give people the room to ask questions. They just come on and I just come through with what I've got. And it's usually something that the person needs at that moment in time. And I think it's to help them move through the blocks. That's my impression with the direction that we've been going this time through this show. So in the past, it was always just answering questions in the way that somebody want answered themselves. Like, can you tell me when I'm going to win the lotto? Yeah. Those type of queses, right?
Yeah. So they were still going to a medium for like superficial stuff.
Right. Should I be dating Joe? Those type of questions, right? No, we're not getting, you do not ask a question here. You just pick up the phone and
you just start channeling, connecting.
I just start giving to them. Yeah. Yeah.
So it's basically, you could say you're a healer.
Yeah. But I mean, what's that to them? And how many people say or admit, I need a healer right now?
Yeah. Not everybody.
Right?
Yeah.
So
it's true. No, I'm like thinking about it. Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah.
I mean, just setting out the intention and saying, doing the best that we can, we bring forth whatever it is that needs to be heard for this individual at this moment in time. And
that's nice.
Just opening up the passage to be that channel, which you are essentially as well.
Yeah, we just do it a little bit of a different way. We connect with people too in readings.
Mm-hmm. I don't know to tell the difference between someone that's alive and someone that's passed away when I connect with their information.
Yeah,
I haven't figured that out.
Really?
I asked the person, is this person here or have they passed?
Well, interestingly, sometimes that can happen for me too. But again, I think it goes with intention. Mm-hmm. So all boils down to intention.
Because it's they're not gone. They're just on another dimensional vibration, I guess. So it's
100% they're not gone. There is no such thing as death. There really isn't. Life continues on. Life is a complete cycle. And we go through the different phases, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, carrying on those same lessons until we learn how to ultimately get over that experience and move on to a higher vibration of love and light.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately what? To reach the status of angels?
I'm obsessed with angels. I'll happily reach that level. I remember because you had your issue and then you had an angel figure kind of come in, right? That was your wake up call.
Yes, that was my wake up call. Yeah, they're definitely there. And so are the spirits. They're definitely there. We are all guarded and guided over. And I've had a lot of people say, well, what if I get on the phone, there isn't a spirit there? We all have a spirit. We all have guides. We all have angels. And some of us more than others because they participate. So when you actively participate, don't you find that there's more around those people?
Yeah, everything just
what do you mean by
easier
that?
To connect.
Well, I think the people who are more open and working with higher realms, right? So they might not consider themselves as psychics or healers, but tapping into that field and whether it might be to manifest or something to heal. I have a lot of doctors who actually work with, call in, a specific saint, or as a spirit of a loved one, to watch with them, watch over them while they're working for the higher good. So they don't even realize what they're doing is pretty much mediumship.
Yep. Yeah. Do you have a favorite angel that you like to kind of call upon or vibrate with?
Oh, interesting. Gabriel.
Oh yeah, I love Gabriel.
I call upon the full force.
Yeah.
Every day.
I bother the most Raphael.
Oh, the healer.
Exactly, because I'm always sick, so I'm always come heal me.
I understand that. And when I got through that passage for myself as a young girl, and then some years later down the road, I had cancer. I'm a cancer survivor. And I met this beautiful gentleman who I think was an angel who came into my life too. And he and I met at this party. And I had just gone through some of my experience with cancer, and he had a bandana around his head, and it was bald. He was bald, and he said he was finishing up chemo. He turned out to be a radio executive. He had a radio company, a radio record label, and we got to talking. But we were just talking about coming through those experiences, and he says the only thing I've learned to do now is just say every day is a miracle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Every day I'm blessed with 100% health, and it's just a miracle I'm alive. And he said that to me, and we both laughed and we both got it. And his eyes were piercing blue. I mean, He was just beautiful. And so ever since then, I've said that. And even if I start to dip, I come right back out of it.
Yeah.
So just bless yourself every day that you're already perfectly healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Love
No
this.
matter what it is, even when you're going down, you're feeling it. You go, I'm perfectly healthy. I'm perfectly healthy. I'm 100% healed, and see the light come down, because you're working with so many people. And when you're working with so many people, our energy can start to slide down that direction too, as you know.
Yep.
You know, empathizing with other people.
Yeah, Lauren and I talked about the fact that, like, obviously I have to cancel the sessions when I get sick, and then I'll be like, oh, I'm better, and then I'll rebook in the people I had to like move over and scoot over, and then I'll do one session, and then I'll finish and be like, oh my god, I feel sick again. It's because the little energy I had recuperating, I just used it for the reading. So I'm starting to get smarter with my energy and going, no, I need to give myself a few days more to recuperate.
Can I share something with you? What I've learned over the years, because I'm very empathetic too. And actually, a lot of the women in my family, my daughter's starting to realize this herself, is that when somebody comes in and they share, because I mean, I hear heart-wrenching stories. I hear some heavy duty stuff every day, and I'm sure you do too. And that's what counselors hear. I mean, they're ready to jump out of their profession because it's too heavy. So when somebody goes and shares and lays out their heaviness upon you, to not fall into it with them, to stay separate. Okay. And meaning that you take a deep breath and send them love and light and say a silent prayer with them or for them, or you say, can I say a prayer with you? Or let's affirm that you're 100%, or something like that, to pull back your energy and not to accept it and take it on.
Yeah.
Because you might be absorbing it unconsciously and not realizing it in that moment.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I remember when COVID hit, a lot of people were starting to I think they're ready to finally deal with trauma that they had their whole life. And so I had a lot of sessions that were really, really traumatic scenarios that I was hearing. And I remember coming out of a lot of those readings going, oh my God, I'm so lucky. My life I've never had that stuff. And I remember telling my partner, like, I'm going to book a whole month of no readings, because I can't, I need a moment for like none of this.
Right.
It becomes a lot sometimes.
And I think that's important, that when doing this work is supercharge yourself and always make that time for yourself. Before I start my day, every day I take an hour for myself at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of people get irritated hearing how much time I take for myself, but heck, I mean, the work we do, you need it. Yeah. Or even anybody who's in the healthcare profession.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of them who are actually smoking and drinking heavily.
I just quit like all wine. Like I always liked enjoying wine on the weekends, and now I'm off it.
I was like that. I stopped. Yeah.
My God, it's like it's like I'm you in the past.
Well, God actually gave me an allergy to the medicine. I mean, to medicine.
Oh my God, that's what I'm going through right now.
Really? And I believe that sometimes we're given those things because we're told. We already knew. I knew I was supposed to slow down. Okay.
Oh
it wasn't like I was an alcoholic, but I knew that it was prohibiting, because alcohol is a spirit. And guess what?
Yeah.
It's a low vibe, so it's allowing wine is delicious. Okay.
Oh my God, so good. And if it's bubbly, even better.
Well, and everything in moderation, right?
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
But my ears just go bonkers when I have wine now. So I can't hear; they clog up. I can't do my work. So,
for how long does that happen?
Well, I have to start taking meds. So now I've just learned, I got to stay away from it, because I'm not.
I just can't believe you're confirming this to me. They're sending me a message through, because ask Lorena, I just got off of allergy pills, and I literally said, I can't drink wine anymore. And I just knew it. And I don't know how they were pairing up. Yeah.
Well, for the right moment, right? For the higher
Yeah.
good of all. Here we are channeling with each other.
Yeah.
But
Oh my goodness.
that's taking care of ourselves, and that's important for anybody out there who wants to tap into spirit,
Yep.
or their intuitive nature. Is, gosh, the first lesson I've shared with everybody is take good care of yourself.
Yeah.
That's it. Bottom line.
Your temple.
Yeah, your temple, your body is the receiver. It's where the message, yes, it is a channel. So in order for you to stay tuned into those frequencies, take care of your soul, like exercise and eat nutritious foods. I mean, not to say you can't have those, chocolates all the time, but, to pull back and do stuff that makes you feel good. Yeah, I mean, chocolates make me feel good, but if I eat too many of those chocolates, then I can't. I'm worried about my stomach and not worried about tuning into the higher frequencies, right?
That's so true.
And getting your sleep.
Yeah, sleep is so important for health and for a channel.
And nobody's doing that. Everybody's on their phone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The phone thing drives me crazy. Oh, don't even get me into that. Like, what bothers me the most about the phone is that a lot of people nowadays, like you'll see like a group of friends going to dinner, and you'll see like half of them on their phone. Like, why are you guys getting together if everyone's just on their phone? Like,
right, talking to other people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right.
I feel like I'm talking to the back of the phone a lot of the times to people because they're like, I'm listening to you. Well, it doesn't look like you're listening to me.
But that to me, like that was the pandemic. The lack of connection that we were already having, and that all of a sudden it became something physical. Yeah. And now we're all trying to heal that. Like, how do we start to socialize again? How do we start to connect to ourselves? How do we start to connect to the people around us, our communities?
I just had a rabbi on my show who's a mystic. He studies Kabbalah. And his biggest message to everybody was get off the phone, at least an hour a day. They tell us all the time to shut off those phones at night, an hour before you go to sleep. By gosh, they're right. Because if you're on your phone right before you go to sleep, you just can't. You won't rest easy.
I want to take the phone out of the room because I say the frequency also is bad. I don't because it's my alarm clock. I need to get like an old alarm clock.
I know. Yeah. I hear it in the other room, so I have to get up and get out of bed.
I won't hear it.
That's depressing for my soul.
Now wait a second. So
that's a good idea, though, to get out of bed.
Here's my other intention, though. I wake up with the sun, and that's how I wake up. So, but I do have the alarm set just in case, but I ask that the sun wake me in the light from the natural light, and it usually does.
You have like the curtain open so that when it comes in, it hits you.
I just don't have blackouts. So I'm okay with the light coming in, and having lived on an island for years. Yeah. I loved it when the sun would come up and I could go for a walk on the beach, so that was the start of my day before I started taking callers.
That's beautiful.
Oh, that's a great way to begin, like connecting with Gaia, rooting, grounding, and then after doing that.
Yes. Yeah, it's necessary. It's a necessary part of our work. And anybody who wants to connect with spirit, for sure. Their spirit.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well, we have so much and I'm realizing, because last time we didn't get into like more personal aspects, it was more about just your work, right? But I'm realizing we have a lot in common.
Of course, yeah. We're all in the same field.
Yeah.
We're just different a little bit, but in that same vibe.
Yeah, we're helping
people.
So
what about like people that are like, because we have a lot of individuals that are listening to this podcast, and a lot of them are on the path of trying to connect more with those abilities. For someone that's just starting, is there anything specific or any advice that they can kind of like absorb and bring in that will help them tap in a bit better, or I don't know, like have more confidence in it?
Well, the first is going back to what we talked about, is taking good care of yourself. And I call it the basics: just sleep, rest, exercise, and nutrition, social. making sure those 4 categories, that to me is just the basics. And we're told that all the time from doctors, but how many people really listen? Okay. Especially us Americans. All right. We love our Starbucks. We love, our big cars. So, it's just stuff like we love our phones. So we're up all night, those things. But I also recommend to a lot of people is meditate. Silence.
Yeah.
Just being in silence, which is again, dropping the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Not being on the phone in silence, but
yeah, that's true.
Like,
yeah, that could
we don't really, we're not, when are we really in silence? When we sleep.
Yes.
For most of us, right?
Yes. And paying attention to your dreams is really key. And when you're a medium, because a lot of my sources will come through in my dream time or my visions and my daydreams. So that's one of the biggest ways that they do communicate.
Messages or like premonitions or like, what is it you're getting?
They're like visions, it's just, for instance, it could be a snapshot or it can be like a little video that's taking place in the head. Like the other day I was on the call with a client for the show, and I kept seeing this airplane go in a holding pattern around her house. And the spirit was trying to convey that to her. And I told her what I saw, and she goes, "That's funny you say that. I look out the window all the time, and there's this plane that flies over, and it's a crop duster, and it constantly circles their area where they live." And
wow.
Wow.
So, I mean, I'm just given the vision to express to her, but part of it was her looking for why this was happening, and the spirit was basically telling her she's in a holding pattern just like that. Crop duster, because she's sitting at home looking at it all the time, and she knows she's got to go out and get a job, but she's afraid to, and somebody offered her the job, but she didn't know if she wanted to take it because she didn't know it was her type of work. But it came to her.
Just like break the inertia, get going.
It's out of the blue came to her.
Yeah.
But she's afraid to go out the door, and she hasn't been out the door in years.
Oh, no.
Right? So she's in the holding pattern.
Yep.
It's simple little things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So
that's so interesting how I get like that too in some sessions. Like I'm more visual now. Do you sense that with maybe the people in this field, especially like mediumship or psychic mediumship or just psychic, where the way that they interact with the messages changes, like they'll be more visual, or like, has that changed for you at any point?
I think some people are more visual, some people are more auditory, some people are more kinesthetic, which is clairsentient. They kind of feel. And then there's people who are more claircognizant, like they just know. But to me, I feel it covers the gamut. And I think all those areas can be developed.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And more in tune. And actually, a lot of people say to me, "Well, I'm not very visual." And I'll say, "Close your eyes and visualize this." And they'll say, "Well, I can visualize that." I'll say, "Visualize this flower, visualize a daisy, and tell me if you can see that in your head." And they'll close their eyes and they'll say, "Yeah, I can visualize a daisy." That to me is called clairvoyant. It's that simple. It's that simple. They go, "Well, that's what it is." And I'll go, "Yes, that's why it's that simple." But so many people make it so complicated.
I think they want to see like really rigid, almost like the way we're used to looking where we are now.
Which it can happen that way too. But it goes back to the whole thing, and I can say this coming from a Christian background, not that I'm religious anymore. I'm more on the spiritual, being open and receptive to just about any and all of them, because I think they all have a beautiful message. But in Christianity, it was, if Christ were to come back, would people really recognize him?
They'd be on their phones.
I didn't expect him to make an appearance. Would they even recognize him when he did appear?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, there are physical signs. There are things that happen in our physical day to day, but people bypass those things because they're so preoccupied with their phones, or, the kid that's getting trouble at school, or, the mother who's sick, or they're just busy trying to pay a bill. And they're so preoccupied and distracted by just everything going on in their lives, they overlook the spiritual nature of all of us, or that's within them, or that's in their field. And so it's just paying attention and being present.
Being present is so hard because you were saying like be in silence, right? You could be in silence, but your brain could be going, right?
Yes. And that's the meditation, is to realize that it's going and then come back in the present moment, listen to the birds, feel the wind embrace you, listen to the conversation that's happening on the beach right there, taking a look over there, seeing the dolphins jump out of the water. My daughter and I, this is a true story. We're walking down the beach one time, 2 dolphins popping out of the water. We're watching them. They're going down the beach with us. Everybody's on their phones. They don't see it.
No.
They do not see it. Okay. We are in so much awe. We probably went a mile watching these dolphins jump out of the water right next to us for a good mile down the beach.
Oh, that's amazing.
I don't think one other person saw it.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Those are the beautiful things that happen in our day. To me, I would say those dolphins were spirit guides.
Yeah.
That's simple little things like that. They're right in front of our eyes. We don't need to be, clairvoyant in that moment. We don't need to see within. It's right there, right before us, the signs. The beautiful message is right there. Or the smile on the cashier's face when we go to go into the supermarket. And have that connection with somebody just briefly for that moment can just raise your vibration instantly, or it could take you down.
It's the person could be doing a job that's like boring or tedious. Like, for example, when I purchase something that comes like the box comes to the house, right? The package, typically the person will pass over. Okay, thank you, bye, bye, bye. There's this one guy, he's kind of new and he's come to the house 3 or 4 times. But when he comes, I'm like, oh, he's coming. And he'll come and he stops and he looks at you and he says, hi. And he passes you the package and he looks straight at you the whole time. And he says, have a wonderful day. Enjoy.
Wow. Isn't that amazing?
It's freaking, I'm like full of goosebumps saying it. It's like no other delivery dude does that. And I'm like, I will always remember him.
He's that's a walking angel. To me, that's an earth angel.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously. How many people do you see?
And he delivers beautiful gifts to me all the time.
I'm sure he does. I haven't been
cashier
so fortunate
thing,
with that. They usually now just leave pictures and say we're here, right?
Yeah.
It's so weird how everything's so digital in that sense.
And disconnected. When it's supposed to make us more connected.
That's true.
It is. I guess it is on some level. It's just a paradox, isn't it?
It is. It is, yeah. It's such a weird time we're living right now. Sometimes I contemplate that. I'm like, so many things are amazing and other things just feel harder. But I think it's like people like this delivery guy or people you meet that like are so present with you or so, I don't know if it's their vibration. Maybe it's their vibration, but it's the presence that people have.
It totally is his vibration. He's a young guy. And you would think that he would be distracted because he's way younger than me. Yes. But he's got it. He knows something. There's something he knows.
Yes. Yes, he's practicing. He is definitely practicing. Yeah. Well, and was that a UPS guy or was that FedEx? Because I think
because I'm in Holland. It's like a Dutch one. I think it was
it's a Dutch
PostNL
one.
or something.
Okay, because my daughter said that she had a teacher, or does now, and the teacher left UPS because they worked him so many long hours, but they had to make so many houses a day, and he learned a lot from it before he became a teacher. That's when he realized, oh, I need to go back to school, right? Mm-hmm. But he said that it was kind of a lonely job. You know, a lot of people don't appreciate. A lot of people don't appreciate, you know, they don't realize that things can be there so conveniently at their doorstep. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's probably doing that on his own, going house to house, and he might not see the people because everybody's at work and everybody's living their life.
Right. Yeah. Look how quick we're manifesting nowadays.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Johnny on the spot. So there's got to be something
it's happening
more.
Really quickly. Yeah.
There's got to be something more to it all.
Yeah. Well, I really believe that, for example, we're in March. I believe that this month is like really good energy to bring in the new paradigm or that new reality that you're looking for. Because I keep hearing the Akashic Records talk about it. And I know that this year is a really good year for changes. So if you're open to not looking at that, like you were saying, the news, right? Looking at the negative, from what I understand, the Akashic Records make me understand is, if you're really going, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not taking no for an answer. I did the trauma work. I did the fear work. I believe I'm worthy. I'm going for it. And I'm full of goosebumps because I'm like so excited when I'm saying it. It's like, I know that those people are going to get there. Like, I know it.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Look at your passion.
I know. I'm so excited about it.
I've heard that from my astrologist friends as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard the same thing. March is supposed to be a really powerful month.
It's a powerful month.
Yeah.
She told me for the fixed signs too. My headphones are actually falling off.
I think Lorena was saying that as well. The fixed signs, you said something like that?
Yeah, it was I don't remember the exact signs, but yeah, I think it's the fixed signs.
I'm a fixed sign. Yay.
What sign are you?
I'm a Taurus.
Me too.
Lorena too.
Yeah, really? We're earthy. We're earth girls.
Very earthy. I have a lot of Taurus in my chart. Yeah.
Do you know your ascendant?
I know. I would probably confuse that. I know my rising is Leo.
Yeah, that's the ascendant, the rising.
Oh, is
Leo.
it? Is it?
Oh, so you're like, that's fiery.
But that makes sense because Leo is like, you're a personality on the radio, right? You're showing, it's all about you. The show's about you and what your work. So that makes sense.
Oh, does it? I don't know. I know enough to be dangerous with astrology. I love astrology. But and that's how I am with all the tools. I love all the tools. The Akashic Records. I love the numerology. I love tarot. I have so many tarot decks. Really? You know,
Lorena's really into what's it called again, Lorena?
Runes. I love the runes.
Oh, I did the runes for a long time. Yeah. I think during one of my moves, I lost those stones. Crystals. Love the crystals.
Love my God, I'm obsessed with crystals. Yes.
Crystals, yeah. Love all that stuff. But and numerology, I'll have one of my colleagues on every now and then to give us an update and report. But this month is supposed to be incredibly powerful. Something to do with Pluto, I guess.
I don't even remember. There's a lot of planetary things happening this month.
Right now, like the 7th.
Yeah, we're talking, today's the 7th of March and today's a full moon. Yeah, it's a big energy today.
Yeah, and then always.
What was it? Saturn entered some Pisces? Saturn entered Pisces, which is a big deal apparently.
Listen, I never know what they mean when they go into another. But I do know that the full moon is a very powerful energy for clearing and letting go.
Yeah.
New moons for bringing in good stuff.
100%. I have one question. I know you probably have to go soon, but one last question. That was a question I got asked with regard to the Akashic Records. Are there specific like days or moments of the year, or when would you not connect to spirit? When would you not do a mediumship reading? Like, are there things that you pay attention to or are careful with?
You mean specific days out of the year?
Yeah, it could be like for us, sometimes around Christmas time, we feel like it's really easy to connect. It's like sometimes Lucia always talks about how her Akashic records just pop open at certain times. She starts getting messages on their own. I don't feel like there's any, but like, we wouldn't open our records if we're sick. We wouldn't do a reading if,
or in like a haunted house or something.
Yeah, or something. Yeah.
Oh, I'm all for the haunted house.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it's a medium. But anyway, I'm the first to step in one of those. But anyway,
have you done that before?
Oh yeah, lots of times. Yeah.
Well, oh my God, I want to hear the experience, but I don't want to make you stay here forever.
Oh well, to answer the first question is yes, I take off my birthday, do no readings, and I've gotten to a point in my career now, especially when it comes to producing radio shows, and I've learned now to take off production and taking time off for readings for 6 months, every 6 months. So now we've taken off June, and now we take off during the holidays. Wow. So I'm giving myself that time to recoup for my soul, as well as my team now, because I'm not the only one who does the show. I've got 2-3 other people involved, to help me create that show and make it happen at the level that we're doing it now. So we're starting to realize we need that rest and relaxation to recoup and come back and see different things and new things and make it better than before. You have
creativity, right?
Yes, you have to. You have to. And the other question was what again? I'm sorry, honey. What did you?
So, have you ever gone to a haunted place and what was experience like? Or...
Oh, well, let me tell you a good one. All right, this is a good one.
I love it. Yes.
Okay, so I don't know if you could call it necessarily haunted, but I was on a show with a team of experts, paranormal experts and UFO experts, and we were with the Discovery Channel, and they did a show on Roswell. And they had us fly down to, I don't know if you know where Roswell is.
Can I watch this somewhere? Is there like a link?
Well, wait a minute. They produced it and then it didn't get aired because it has to do with UFOs. But we do have the video clips. Anyway, we were brought into the original hangar where supposedly the issue happened, where they brought in the UFO. They were supposed to bring in the actual aliens. So we did a seance, and they asked me to hold the seance because I was the medium. So there was a team of us around a table. They had the crew around us with their cameras. And so I call in the spirits, to talk to the spirits, and we do the little shing-ding around the table. Everybody's holding hands and everything. All of a sudden, the hangar goes crazy, shaking. Like it sounded like a bunch of chains were going over the tops, the sides of the doors. It was just like clanging loud, and it freaked me out. I almost wet my pants. In fact, they had me on video saying, what the heck is that? And then I had some paranormal experts there that had the instruments, and those things went wild and crazy. The tech guys, the camera guys were getting sick. One of them vomited, fell to the floor. No. So my paranormal guy gets up to walk out with his instrument to see why or who is outside the hangar, but was from every corner of the hangar. These are huge. Oh my God. Like where aircraft goes into. Yeah. Okay. So they go running out there to open the doors. There's nothing out there. And so then on top of it, yes, we have one of the videographers capture a white streaks just going around our table like this, just zooming around our table. Wow. I've never had a more powerful experience. And actually, all those paranormal people that are with me, in fact, one of them is Joshua P. Warren. You can look him up. He'd be a great one to have on the show. You could tell him I sent you. He's written tons of books about ghosts, and he's an expert. He's on Coast to Coast now. He's one of the hosts of
I'm going to look this up.
Yeah, yes, and that's one of his most profound stories, too. It was for all of us, and we've all been in the field for years, but we were all shaken from that experience. And fortunately, there was a shaman with us he's another one you should have on your show. He did a seance or a dance. He did like a protection dance around all of us before we actually went on to the set to do the actual seance. And I was the only one of the few people who didn't get sick because he set the intention, set the prayer for all of us before we walked on.
Wow.
And thank God he did, because I was pregnant at the time, so yeah. I had my little baby. So speaking of, picking up negative energies, so that was the most profound experience I've had.
What do you think it was? Like, what did you perceive?
It was the spirits of, I feel there were I believe, as well as everybody who was there except one expert, believed there was some bad mojo according to what was done to the aliens that were there. There's a lot of people who demystify and say that there wasn't an alien connection. Some people say
the Roswell crash you were talking about, right?
Pardon me, Roswell.
Yeah,
Roswell, New Mexico.
I read a bunch of books about this. People investigated, and apparently they were saying that there were two, Eben 1 and Eben 2, and Eben 1 I think was the one that died, and then Eben 2 the government had them I don't know, asking questions, trying to get information and stuff. So I don't know, but
wow. Some people also said that there was a Chinese work camp, and that there were some people that were abused there, which could very well be the case as well. But I don't dismiss some of the activity that's associated with UFOs. I mean, look at what's happening right now in our world, and also what's being brought forth from the Pentagon, and they're starting to release a lot of the things here in the United States. So, I mean, they're there.
They're there.
Yeah. So that's a whole nother plane of existence, but that's another talk for another time.
I mean, you're on GAIA, and GAIA brings a lot of experts to talk about that stuff.
Yeah. It's very popular. So people are open and receptive to that. So that's another step, I think, of tapping into, well, what is all this about? Who are these beings, and how are we connected to them? What do they want with us?
Yeah, what do they? Yeah, I think a lot of people ask that. And there's fear.
My dad, there is a lot of fear. I don't think there needs to be as much fear as they give credit for. But excuse me for 1 second.
And don't worry.
My dad always says he's been a big believer. And if you saw him, you wouldn't believe he was a believer, because he comes from a very rigid world called CPA.
Oh, wow.
But that we wouldn't have any world wars anymore if the human race came together to unite in order to deal with a
common enemy.
Right.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's assuming they're an enemy. Maybe they're not an enemy.
I don't think they're enemy.
Yeah,
I don't think so either.
I don't think either. I don't feel that.
No.
I don't get that.
I feel actually a lot of them might be here to help us.
I think we are them, though. Like, we're incarnations of them. So, yeah.
It's interesting you say that. I've got some vibes about that, too. But again, that's a whole nother discussion.
Yes, we have so much to talk about. We're not going to keep you any longer, because if not, I would have you.
We'll do that another time.
We will. We'll definitely. Yeah. I love that idea. So maybe just before you go, just let people know how they can find you.
Oh, yes. Well, right now I can be found at radiomediumlauralee.com. And the information about the show is on there, where people can listen to the show in the podcast, which is on your favorite forum, Radio Medium Laura Lee.
Yeah, I follow you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. So thank you so much, Laura Lee. We'll obviously have you back on again at some time. Maybe not so long. Let's not wait that long.
Yeah.
That was a long time. But thank you for taking the time to chat to our listeners.
And it was fun.
I'll put all your information on the show notes so they can reach out to you.
I feel like we got to know you a little bit more this time. So it was really, really nice.
It feels good.
And it was wonderful to see your names pop up from somebody that called into my show.
That's amazing.
And then like the next day we messaged you. You said something like that.
What's that?
And then like the next day we're like messaging you. Hey, you want to go on the show again?
I know. Like, isn't that interesting? That's how that's spirit. You guys sensed it. You guys sensed it.
Yeah, of course. We had been talking about bringing you on for a bit now.
Well, we had, I thought of you and I was like, I need to write them an email, but you know how that happens.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh gosh.
I'll do it tomorrow. It's like the diet. I'll start on Monday.
You know what I do? I just open them and then they sit there and I've got like 25 pages.
I do the same.
Oh no.
And then they'll sit there for like 6 months. I'll go, oh my gosh, I didn't respond to that person.
Oh no, I don't do that. I just leave it open so I don't forget because I forget everything.
I do too, but then I forget that I've opened it.
Right.
It's crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure, ladies. Thank you for having me.
Here too.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed that episode. Thank you, Laura Lee, for coming on and for taking the time to chat with all of us. Just a quick reminder before we go, we have the Akashic Record Level 1 and Level 2 sale going on, so I'll put the link to that in the show notes. Also, we have a kind of announcement that Lou made with her Cosmic You course, so that's also on our Thinkific. Make sure you check that out. I have a 25% off my Akashic counseling until the end of April. And then I also have a giveaway for an Akashic record reading on my Instagram channel. So I'll put all those links below, and we will see you all next week with a new episode. Sending you all love and light.